is a better choice. My one and only station.
DBS Radio. Fair and balanced, unbiased and clear, concise and accurate. This is the DBS Evening News. Here now is your presenter with the headlines.
In the headlines, Dominica among OECS member states signed on for the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority. In news from the region, PAHO launches new initiative to deal with high rate of NCDs. And internationally, Pope Leo condemns climate change critics. Good evening, I am Leila Lang for details of the news when we return.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
Turn your TV on. Listen to DBS on Digital TV Channel 50 and Flow TV Channel 951. DBS News.
Welcome back and welcome to the listeners of Acoustic Worship Radio. Dominica is among OECS member states which have signed on for the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority. The agreement was signed by all OECS states who have a citizenship by investment program. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says this initiative is designed to safeguard the integrity, transparency, and sustainability of the citizenship by investment programs.
The establishment of the regulatory authority will ensure that our programs remain credible, secure, and globally respected. The authority will function as an independent regulatory body which will develop and enforce uniform standards and procedures governing the operation of all programs across participating states. It will oversee the activities of agents, developers, promoters, and due diligence service providers, ensuring compliance with both regional regulations and international best practices. It will conduct independent audits, carry out ongoing monitoring, and issue clear guidelines, directives, and recommendations to maintain consistency and fairness. One of the authority's most important functions will be to set minimum due diligence standards and ensure their rigorous application.
Mr. Skerrit says he is confident this new agreement will ensure high standards are kept within the citizenship by investment programs.
The agreement also provides for the creation of a centralized regional database to be managed by impacts. This database will consolidate all relevant data on applicants and their dependents across participating states. Its purpose is to strengthen regional and international security, enhance intelligence sharing, and ensure that our systems remain in full compliance with the standards and recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force and the OECD and other international bodies. The agreement, I believe, will be made available in full for our citizens to read, but it is my view that it is comprehensive in its scope and reflects the collective resolve of our governments to continue to maintain high standards. For Dominica, this step is entirely consistent with our long-standing commitment to uphold the highest standards of integrity in the management of our program. We are proud of the contribution that the CBI has made to our country's development, but we have always maintained that the success of the program depends on its credibility and its alignment with global best practices. We therefore welcome this regional approach. It is an important safeguard for the conduct of our programs and an indication of our willingness to act responsibly as sovereign states. Dominica is pleased with this agreement, and we will fully support the work of the new authority.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Dominica's ambassador to CARICOM and OECS, Dr. Gerald Jacques, says Dominica is ready to begin receiving nationals from the 3 participating states under the CARICOM Free Movement Initiative, which came into effect today. Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have implemented administrative systems to facilitate full free movement. This initiative follows a decision by CARICOM heads of government in July of this year.
We have been very actively involved preparing for full free movement regime among 4 participating states, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent. We have been at this now for a month, I would say, in discussions with participating states, that is Barbados, Belize, and St. Vincent. We are ready to welcome our brothers and sisters, and we're excited. One part of the process of welcoming the incoming nationals is they will be asked to register as their presence in Dominica, in Barbados, in Belize, and St. Vincent as well as participants in the CARICOM Full Free Movement. What that registration does is essentially you indicate your name and more information about yourself that would not be easily found on the immigration card that you would have completed. You will then receive an identification document. In the case of Dominica and Belize and St. Vincent, you would likely receive a card, identification card. In the case of Barbados, you would get a certificate as well as a card. This card you would use in Dominica to access the health and education services, primary education and secondary education. These will be provided to incoming nationals under the same conditions as they are for Dominicans.
Dominica's ambassador to CARICOM and OECS, Dr. Gerald Jacques. President of the National Cooperative Credit Union, Clement Masleh, has announced that the institution's assets now exceed $8 million. His comments were made during the launch of the National Cooperative Credit Union's 15th anniversary celebrations this afternoon. Masleh highlighted the significant progress the institution has made over the past 15 years.
Today, 15 years later, we can proudly say that this decision to amalgamate was the right one. We have grown to over 54,000 members, making NCCU the largest credit union in the OECS, with an asset size north of $800 million. So we're getting closer to the $1 billion figure. We have expanded our services, modernized our operations, and strengthened our financial stability. We have supported families with mortgages, students with scholarships, entrepreneurs with business loans, and communities with development projects. Most importantly, we have upheld the cooperative principle, people before profit. The journey of amalgamation has truly been one of transformation to many and to one strong movement. This is also fitting to pay tribute to those who made it possible. The members of the Amalgamation Committee, the board of the founding credit unions, and the staff who worked tirelessly to align systems and to reassure members that although change is difficult, but that change was absolutely necessary. Their vision, their courage, their commitment gave birth to the institution we celebrate today. We stand boldly and proudly, unashamed, on the shoulders of those who have gone before us, and to let them know that we owe them a lasting debt of gratitude.
President of the National Cooperative Credit Union, Clement Masleh. CEO of the National Cooperative Credit Union, Curve Charles, outlined the activities planned to mark the 15th anniversary of the institution.
And this anniversary is not just a milestone. It is a celebration of our members, a celebration of our staff, a celebration of our volunteers, and a celebration of our communities. Over the coming weeks, we have planned a series of activities and offerings. 15 in 15 by 15 staff video series, featuring 15 short stories of colleagues with over 15 years of services. Community and branch engagement projects, where each NCCU branch will deliver at least one visible community initiative. Thanksgiving service at the Roseau Seventh-day Adventist Church on November 1st to give the Almighty Father thanks. On November 1st, we honor the members of the Amalgamation Committee who initiated the formation of the NCCO Limited and who stand behind where we are today. Anniversary loan offerings has been offered as well. We want every Dominican to feel included in this celebration because NCCO belongs to all of us.
CEO of the National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Keith Charles. Ferry services to Dominica have been temporarily disrupted due to technical issues with the FRS Express vessel. Hans Victor, Operations Supervisor at the Shipping Department of HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, is optimistic that services will resume on October 12, 2025.
FRS Express has experienced some significant technical difficulties with one of its vessels, the vessel that is currently servicing the international line. The international line is from Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, and St. Lucia. That is a problem that cannot be resolved, cannot get a quick fix for. We were forced to cancel all the calls for the rotation of that vessel. Now, persons are asking questions, it is one vessel we have. No, we don't. We have 3 vessels, but you can well imagine that 3 vessels have commitments to other destinations and for services. One of the other vessels is on dry dock, which is a must in this period. The 3rd vessel is servicing the domestic line, which is Guadeloupe and Marie-Galante. The traffic between Guadeloupe and Marie-Galante is very heavy, so therefore we cannot remove that vessel to service the international line. We don't want to compound one problem with another. So the hard decision had to be taken, cancel calls until the 11th, hoping to resume on the 12th of October. It was a very hard decision, but it had to be taken.
Mr. Victor says accommodations have been arranged for passengers affected by this disruption.
Passengers have been coming into our offices, have been calling, sending emails and so on, and they have been given the necessary information. Customers have been rebooked to the next available vessel. Those who cannot, they would fend for themselves, take a flight or catch another boat or whatever the case may be. And they would send an email to our after-sales service support team to claim or anything in that regard. So far it has been going okay. We have not had too many irate passengers. I thank God for that. Hopefully everything will be back to normal by the 12th of October. And this I am thankful for because it happened just before the very peak period of Creole Festival, where we have hundreds and hundreds of persons or patrons coming in between the 3 islands. So hopefully we should be back ready to go with all our vessels by the 12th of October.
Operations Supervisor at the Shipping Department of HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, Hans Victor. President of Dominica, Her Excellency Sivani Burton, says the elderly are the foundation on which Dominica stands. Today, Dominica joined the international community in the observance of International Day of Older Persons under the theme Older Persons Driving Local and Global Action, Our Aspirations, Our Well-Being, Our Rights. Her Excellency Burton says the legacy of the elderly must be honored and preserved.
Our elders are the foundation on which we stand. They tilled the soil, built our institutions, defended our freedoms, and nurtured the generations that followed. Their strength in adversity and their commitment to family, community, and country continue to inspire us all. We owe them our deepest gratitude. The world we live in today, its values, its progress, its peace, was shaped by their sacrifices and sustained by their wisdom. And they did this selflessly with the hope that future generations would build on their efforts and reach even greater heights. What they achieved was born of what they inherited. And now, it is our turn to carry the legacy forward. Every generation has a duty to preserve, honor, and elevate what came before. That is why I call on all citizens young and old, to embrace intergenerational solidarity. Let us learn from the wisdom of our elders and at the same time empower them to remain active participants in shaping our shared future.
Her Excellency Burton also paid a tribute to Dominica's centenarians, 4 of who recently celebrated birthdays.
Today, we proudly pay tribute to the 16 centenarians currently living among us, living examples of resilience and longevity. In particular, we extend heartfelt birthday wishes and God's blessings to 4 centenarians: Mrs. Iona Nicholas of Mero, Mrs. Josephine Pascal of Grandfont, and Mrs. Juliana Scotland of Roseau, who recently celebrated their 101st birthday, and to Mrs. Josephine Iona Baptist of Castlebruce, who recently celebrated her 103rd birthday. But while we celebrate, we must also confront the reality that many of our older persons face daily challenges, from poverty and limited health care to isolation and neglect. To ignore these truths is to fail not only them, but ourselves.
President of Dominica, Her Excellency Silvani Burton. That's the National Focus, Regional and International Developments up next.
Yo, what's up? Baby, let's go! Turn your TV on. Listen to DBS on Digicel TV, Channel 50, and Flow TV, Channel 951. DBS News.
In news from the region, health authorities from across the Americas, including the Caribbean, approved a new 2025-2030 action plan for the prevention and the control of non-communicable diseases, NCDs, marking a critical step towards addressing the leading cause of death and disability in the region. The initiative, approved at the ongoing 62nd Directing Council of the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, aims to accelerate the implementation of measures to reduce the burden of NCDs and improve the quality of life for millions of people through strengthening of primary healthcare systems. The plan proposes 3 strategic lines of action, namely reducing NCD risk factors, integrating NCD management into primary healthcare, and strengthening surveillance systems. And internationally, Pope Leo XIV has hit out at those who minimize the increasing evident impact of rising temperatures in his first major statement on climate change. Reiterating the words of his predecessor, Pope Francis, the new Pope lambasted critics who ridicule those who speak of global warming. The Pope's remarks will be seen as an implied criticism of U.S. President Donald Trump, who last month called climate change a con. Pope Leo also called for greater action from citizens and the world over on climate change, saying there was no room for indifference or resignation. That's news, the DBS Evening Sports Report. Up next with Gavin Richards.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Well, good evening. I'm Gavin Richards of the DBS Evening Sports Report. Let's begin with news that the West Indies cricketer Kavem Hodge has called on student athletes to be prepared to push the boundaries and step out of their comfort zone if they are to succeed. While Hodge was the featured speaker at the 30th School Sports Awards, over 200 awards were handed out to deserving students and schools at the event, which was held at the American Canadian School of Medicine this morning. Well, Hodge told the students that they should not settle at being the best among themselves.
If you're a big fish in a small pond, that's all you will ever be, the boss of that pond. But the moment you find yourself in a lake where there are bigger fishes, then you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to grow mentally and physically if you want to survive and be successful. And that philosophy has stayed with me till this very day. I'm sure there are many of you here who are the big dogs. The strongest in your class, the strongest boy in your class, the fastest girl in your school, or the most athletic person in your village. That's all well and good. But if that's all you aspire to be, the biggest fish in that little pond, you will never realize your true potential. It's only when you find yourself in that lake where the other fishes are bigger, the competition is much tougher than you, and you don't have a choice but to break out of that comfort zone, to run a little further, to lift a little heavier, to spend an extra half hour working on your craft. That is how you achieve greatness, by pushing your boundaries and breaking your barriers.
And that was the West Indies cricketer and the featured speaker at the secondary schools, or that should be School Sports Awards today, Kavem Hodge. Meantime, Minister of State with Responsibility for Sports, Senator Oscar George, told the student athletes that they must be committed to training and putting in the hard work if they are to succeed.
My first advice to you young athletes, ensure that you love and have a passion for whatever sport you decide to play. My second piece of advice, you also have to be committed to the process and committed to improving on your game. You have to prepare to make the time to train and practice. And these days, we get too many petty excuses why we cannot train. Can you believe that an athlete would say that the sun is too hot? And then we go ahead and we put lights on the playing field, and then they come up with a different excuse. We have to make the time to train and to practice. And as our featured speaker mentioned, you have to practice with the same intensity as you would in an actual game. That's how you get better as an athlete. And finally, prepare yourself mentally. Sport has a lot to do with your mental ability. So ensure that you can face different circumstances and excel.
Minister of State with Responsibility for Sports, Senator Oscar George. Meantime, the Castlebrew Secondary School has been named the Secondary School of the Year in Sports. The other nominees were the Northeast Comprehensive and the Portsmouth Secondary School, while the top Primary School of the Year in Sports, well, that award went to the Cynical Primary School. They edged out the other nominees, the St. John's Primary and the Will Strathmore Primary School. Well, taking a look at some of the other awards which are handed out, like we said, over 200 awards are handed out today. And in the interest of time, we can't name everyone, but we do congratulate all of the awardees. Well, we have Kenya John. She was named the MVP in the schools under 20 netball division. Amia Brumant was named the MVP in the girls NBD primary schools football tournament. Eric Philogen, the MVP in the boys development division. And Jillian Victor got the MVP for the Division 1 league. Chance Marshall was named MVP in the schools under 17 football. Kian Thomas, the MVP in schools under 20 football. And the West Indies under-19 player, Senior Fontaine, well, he took the majority of the under-20 cricket awards. There was also Gordisha Joseph, who was named the female MVP in schools volleyball. Amani Francis was the boys MVP. And Delcia Julian was named the schools under-20 female basketball MVP, with Meshach Debuli being named the boys under-20 basketball MVP. Let's bring you some cricket news now. The West Indies Test captain Roston Chase says the team is up for the challenge of trying to take down India at home. While the West Indies will face India in the first test starting midnight tonight Caribbean time. Chase says that the team has to put recent results behind them.
I wouldn't say there's any special preparation. Obviously, everyone knows their game and knows what they need to do. Well, obviously, India is mainly a spin-based country, but going to any team's home country is going to be tough. Teams at home are always stronger, seem to be stronger at home, so we're up for the challenge. And Test cricket is always hard, so it's not something that's new to us. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Yeah, well, obviously we're not in a good position right now in terms of our test status, and we're kind of low on the table, but that's we have to put that behind us and just worry about what's ahead of us right now. And each day, each game, one day at a time, one step at a time, one session at a time, and just try to obviously learn the conditions as fast as possible. Obviously, New Zealand came last year and dominated India, so we're really trying to learn from what they did and try to put some of those stuff in place so that we can obviously play some good cricket and compete and try to win the series.
The West Indies captain Ruston Chase. The West Indies team will be picked from Chase as the captain, Jomel Warwick and the vice captain, Kevlon Anderson, Alec Athanaze, John Campbell, Tejnarain Chandapal, Justin Graves, Shea Hope, Tevin Imlak, Johan Lane, Brandon King, Anderson Phillip, Carrie Pear and Jaden Seals. Remember, there's no Alzari Joseph and no Sharma Joseph. They've both been ruled out due to injury. Meantime, the Indian captain Shubman Gill says India won't be underestimating the West Indies.
We are looking to play some hard grinding cricket. I mean, over the past few years, if you'll see the test matches in India don't really go up to like 5 days. So what we are really looking to do is to play some good hard cricket. All the test matches that we played in England went pretty deep, and I mean, I don't think it's from the cricket that you can what the people can expect from us is good hard grinding cricket, and we wouldn't be looking for any easy out options. And I think we've got the skill set to be able to play on any kind of a wicket or any situation, and the kind of talent that we have in the team, we can, I think, turn around from any situation. So that's what we'll be looking to play.
And that's the Indian captain Shubman Gill. Cricket West Indies will undergo a restructuring of its domestic tournaments. Well, Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Officer Chris Derwin told a media briefing this morning that the current model is not sustainable. He says a number of changes will be coming to West Indies cricket as the Cricket West Indies is likely to face financial challenges in the next year.
The year 25-26 financial year for us is going to be one of those tasks at hand that we have to deal with. And it's going to be a very challenging financial year for us. And it's no secret that West Indies cricket suffers from a cyclical scenario where when we host countries like India or England, we're able to hold our head above water, because those tours tend to pay for themselves. The international broadcast rights for the television product that we produce then helps us to fund all the development programs, all the tournaments that we host every year. When we have to host Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and New Zealand, as much as we enjoy the cricket playing against them, hosting those teams comes with a financial price. Cricket West Indies is the only regional body, the only sport that literally pays for everything to do with our regional tournaments. The only sport. So when a team comes from Jamaica, comes from Barbados, comes from Guyana, Cricket West Indies pays for everything. The airlift, the hotels, all costs of the tournament, etc. That doesn't happen in any other sport where national teams are usually supported by their countries. Now, when you're hosting 25 or 30 of these tournaments and events, it becomes much more unsustainable. And we're starting to feel the pinch of it. And so we need to have an entire reimagining of how we do our domestic tournaments, how we spend our developmental funds, and so on. So there's an entire re-engineering that has to take place there.
Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Officer Chris Derwin. He says the CWI will be approaching the corporate community to get more involved with West Indies cricket.
We spend roughly $5.5 million US every year on airlines. We spend maybe $9 million US a year, direct spend. You can probably double that at least, if you think about the visiting fans that have to stay in those same hotels, use the same airlines and so on. So you're talking about over a 10-year period, maybe $100 million that we are putting into the Caribbean economies and putting into those airlines pockets and those hotels pockets. I can't tell you if we get one red penny of sponsorship from any of those entities. And we're not asking for largesse, as I said. This is your economic return. This is a product that should be important to you. And so we're going to be targeting corporate Caribbean to ensure that they understand the importance and the value of West Indies cricket to them, just as a pure economic value, and trying to get them much more engaged in it. Because all they need to do is do the calculation if West Indies cricket was to go away, what it would do to their bottom line.
Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Officer Chris Derrin. Meantime, CWI Director of Cricket Miles Bascom says changes will come to the number of venues being utilized for international cricket.
There are likely to be changes in terms of the number of matches, the number of venues that we use generally, and the number of matches per venue. Just for context, moving countries with an international touring party requires charter flights, it requires air freight for production equipment, and that cost is at a minimum around $200,000 per hop, right? So every one of those hops that we are able to cut out saves the company $200,000 at a minimum. We would also need a lot of support from governments in terms of concessions. Many of them already offer these concessions to us. And so the preliminary countries that have been identified for matches have been those countries who have traditionally offered us that support.
Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket Miles Bascom. Let's bring you some football news as 16 teams will begin their quest to play Premier League football as the DFA's round of 16 gets underway tonight at the DFA Technical Centre. Remember, the winner of the DFA Division 1 League will earn an automatic spot in the next Premier League, while the runners-up will battle Connect 767 Courts Ready Cash East Central in the Premier League playoffs. So like we said, the round of 16 gets underway tonight. And the first game is going to be All Saints FC taking on Fonkole United FC. That game is set for 7 o'clock at the DFA Technical Centre. The winner will advance to the quarterfinals. Let's quickly also tell you that Tim Robinson hit an unbeaten century for New Zealand, but that knock wasn't enough as Australia picked up a win in the first T20 in New Zealand last night. Well, New Zealand made 181 for 6 in their 20 overs. Tim Robinson got 106 not out and Darren Mitchell 34. Australia replied it for 185 for 4 in 16.3 overs, with Mitchell March hitting 85 of just 43 balls with 9 fours and 5 sixes. Travis Head got 31. Australia won the game by 6 wickets. The second T20 will get underway Friday morning, Caribbean time. Well, that's all the time that we're going to have for sports this evening. More sporting highlights tomorrow morning. Remember, the West Indies will be in action tonight, midnight, Caribbean time, as they take on India in the first test match. And of course, we're hoping that our very own Alec Athanaze will get onto the field today for that test. And we're hoping that he can have a very successful series as well. Quick program reminder, there's no off the field tonight, as we'll be bringing you a repeat of the Sports Division's Schools Award ceremony, which took place today at Portsmouth at the American Canadian School of Medicine, and we'll bring you a repeat of that. Over 200 awards were handed out today, and once again, congratulations to all of the deserving schools and student athletes. Well, that's the news and sports. You heard the news of Leila Langford. I brought you the sports on behalf of the entire news and sports department, our links person, DJ Hillowboy. I'm Gavin Richards saying good evening.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
DBS Radio gives you top quality service over any other for live streaming of funerals. Call us today at 448-3282.